You know, the numbers on both Edmonton Oilers goalies this postseason haven't been stellar, but in stretches, they've both been very effective. Skinner and Pickard both have save percentages sub 900, goals against approaching 3. The Oilers expected to go back to Stuart Skinner for Game 6 on Tuesday. And to talk about that, we are back with our NHL analyst, Frankie Corrado. So we know Stuart Skinner's getting the start in Game 6. I guess my question is, was it a mistake to go to Calvin Pickard in Game 5 if you were willing to just go back to Skinner in Game 6?
I don't think it was a mistake to go to Calvin Pickard because of the way the team played when he went in the net. And, you know, that there's something to be said for that. The group in front of the goaltender, sometimes it's nothing against the goalie, but teams can play different in front of different guys. Now, it didn't go the way that they wanted in Game 5. Now they have to regroup, and Stuart Skinner's going to have to pick up the pieces. But I would say that Stuart Skinner, he didn't lose the net because he played horrible.
Yeah.
The team in front of him didn't do him any favors, but Stuart Skinner played what you would call maybe an average Stuart Skinner game. The group in front of him needs to find a way to lead the game a little bit more, play with a little more urgency, and that'll help the goaltender out. But I have a hard time arguing the decision to go to Calvin Pickard based on the way that the group played in front of him when he had gone in the net in Game 4.
Yeah, hard to argue with that comeback. Darren Dreger said earlier in the show, it looks like Kasperi Kapanen will draw back in for the Oilers for Game 6, as will John Klingberg. Man, we've been touting how much Chris Knoblauch knows how to push the right buttons throughout this postseason. Is this too many lineup changes for the Edmonton Oilers at this point?
You know what? It is hard to argue with it because he does such a great job of making the right tweaks, but more importantly, at the right time. I would say this about the lineup changes. Not that it doesn't matter. They're so secondary to the main things that this group needs to kind of get over here in order to win.
Yes.
It's all about McDavid and Draisaitl, and right now they're getting outscored when they're on the ice together. That can't be the case. It's about getting depth scoring within the group, because when they do get that scoring, they're a much more difficult team to play against. So at the end of it, if we're talking about, the 6th defenseman and the 12th forward, we're kind of missing the plot here. The group can play better. The top players can be better. It's just hard playing against the Florida Panthers. This is not a team where McDavid can just go hero mode and put the team on his back. It doesn't work that way. And actually, it almost feels counterintuitive when it does happen that way, because the Panthers kind of just, they sit back and they wait for you to make your mistake and they pounce on it. So the lineup changes are fine. And ultimately, the lines are going to be in a blender anyways. So we're kind of, that's so low on the things that are, issues for the Oilers right now.
Do you ultimately believe that the Oilers get it done on Tuesday night?
If they get it done, they will have to play with a lead, which is something they haven't done much in this series.
It's almost like they don't want to.
Yeah, it's hard enough to beat the Panthers.
Yeah.
It's really hard to beat the Panthers when you don't play with the lead. They're going to have to score first. They're going to have to find a way to build on it. As much as they're a resilient group, that eventually runs out against a team like the Florida Panthers, who are looking to kind of right the wrong from last year in a sense, where they had 3 games to close this thing out last year and they didn't do it. I can't imagine they want to squander another opportunity, especially on home ice. But yeah, for the Edmonton Oilers, have to find a way to play with the lead, have to find a way to get more players involved, which when they do, as we talked about, they're so much more difficult to beat. And when Knoblauch goes to the nuclear option, McDavid and Draisaitl, it has to produce. And right now, the Florida Panthers, give them a lot of credit. That's as good of a job as you can do on all those things together.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 6 is Tuesday night.